And it's you need to understand, you need to listen to the verbiage here in the statement, because it's the exact same thing that they understand with the commodity markets. And this is why we're seeing so many deliveries. And I'll answer this question in a moment, but just like we're seeing all of the gold heading to Hong Kong. Remember, the CME Group created a contract in 2015 that allows for exchange for physical to be delivered to Brinks Hong Kong, which is a COMEX vault. And they only keep taking kilo gold bars. Ironically, no, it's not, because the Shanghai Gold Exchange trades in kilo bars. The COMEX trades in 100-ounce bars, although their mini contract is kilo bars. So when you see, 500+ million in gold delivered to Brinks Hong Kong in an exchange for physical, that's being trucked over to the Shanghai Gold Exchange. They are using the suppression of the Western market against us and standing for delivery. We just saw the other day another huge delivery coming out of the June contract for gold. It was 30,000 gold contracts were delivered off of COMEX in the June contract, 30,000 times 100 ounces. We continue to see drawdowns in the exchanges because the world understands this is how they win the game. The countries that are standing for delivery now never did. It is the standing for delivery, the coordination, sophistication, wealth, being cunning enough and understanding enough to understand this is how you beat the West, by standing for delivery in these exchanges.
With over 30,000 gold contracts worth billions being delivered off the COMEX in June alone, and over $500 million in gold heading to Hong Kong, it's clear that countries around the world are strategically standing for delivery, weaponizing the Western market suppression against us. The BRICS nations are forming their own commodity exchanges, bypassing the US dollar in favor of their own currencies. This coordinated effort is draining Western exchanges, stockpiling precious metals, and taking control of the world's commodities. China owns the London Metals Exchange and is building warehouses in China, while India has increased its silver imports from the UAE by 654 times year over year. Additionally, the BRICS nations are now the largest grain producers, aiming to shift the global grain market away from the US dollar. The financial power shift is real, and it's happening now, threatening the stability of the US economy.
Well, the same thing would be true in respect with the BRICS Grain Exchange. And I'm going to read something to you here so people understand, they get what's happening, and they're using this leverage against us. They say the BRICS Grain Exchange is likely to change the face of the world grain market tremendously. And this is according to the Russian officials. The existing global grain market infrastructure was formed following the Second World War, when U.S. wheat and corn exports dominated the market, the ministry said. Although U.S. exports no longer play the role they used to, global prices are primarily determined by the Chicago Commodity Exchange. Moscow seeks to move away from trading grain for U.S. dollars in favor of the national currencies of the BRICS member states. The ministry insists that the BRICS countries are the largest grain producers and exporters, but have no leverage to influence the price of the agricultural commodities critical for their food security. The BRICS Commodity Exchange will solve this problem. But this is the point here. The same thing will be true. Look, they now have a commodity exchange, which would be for things like corn and soybean and wheat. Well, what's Brazil doing right now? They're the second largest exporter of corn in the world. They're selling corn and soybeans to China for yuan over the Project M Bridge, sidestepping SWIFT, and probably sending that yuan back and converting it into gold on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. Probably those same kilo bars that came off the COMEX. So they're doing that. But what did China do? They bought the LME, the London Metals Exchange, the base metals, right? We've talked about how all of the countries joining the BRICS or the Shanghai Cooperation Organization or the Belt Road Initiative are massively rich in commodities, right? So they're buying the LME, which is base metals. They're draining the exchange in precious metals. And by the way, the LME, which the Chinese own, even though the exchange is in the UK, they're now building warehouses in China to warehouse the metals that are traded on the LME in China. So they're knee deep in base metals, copper, zinc, all that kind of stuff. They are building a grain exchange. There was a report that JP Morgan just came out with, said that they produce 70 to 80% of all the rare earth metals, but they refine 100% of all the rare earth metals. So you got that base covered. They came out and said that this new BRICS endeavor those countries that will be admitted in October will be very strategic in terms of their shipping lanes and their trade routes on top of their natural resources. Do you see how all of these ducks are being, put in a row, one after the other after the other? And what did Zoltan Pozsar say? Oh, that's right. Bretton Woods 3 is all about commodities. They have now the soft commodities, the hard commodities, the precious metals, the rare earths, the shipping lanes, the trade routes, the military might, GDP. These idiots who continue to poo-poo this as a nothing burger, and now they have the damn trade vehicle, including a common settlement currency and a platform to sidestep SWIFT. But you're right. Recency bias should prevail. The BRICS is nothing. Just keep on walking and don't look here. Look at NVIDIA and Bitcoin and Apple, these shiny objects, and ignore what the majority of human population is doing. They are setting the stage for that all at once moment. And it's never been more clear to me. Yet the fact that this media over here does nothing to talk about what should be the most important story of the world, so many people have no idea what's come and done again. And yes, I continue to harp on the same story, but you can see it's coming together now. It is truly coming together. Everything that I talked about in 2020, when Nancy Pelosi said there would be that virus could live on currency, there'll be a digital currency. I mean, all of these things, you knew it. The crumbs are laid at our feet. There will be a digital currency, whether it be here or there. That is where we are going. And as far as what the BRICS are doing, they have told us they're gonna peg it to gold. And so it's these commodities are now ruling the roost. They are all replacing the demand to own U.S. treasuries, which we have proven we will weaponize and also destroy the value by letting rates rise. And when you see what's happening to the 10-year treasury, again, rates are going higher. They will not go lower. I keep saying this. To think rates will go lower is a mistake. Maybe they try and jack around with the short-term rates into the election. Well, that's not too transparent. But the long-term rates, these countries don't want our bonds anymore. They want commodities, and they will sell them. They will continue to offload them and buy things like gold, like rare earths, like base metals, and even like soft commodities, because that is Bretton Woods 3. And if you don't see this, if you don't see these pieces that I'm trying to show you are all coming together now tightly, then you're missing the picture. So with all due respect to the dollar bulls and the milkshake theory and all of these things, which have been true and are true until they're not, you need to understand that we're getting closer to that moment than we have ever been. And if you don't see that, you're going to miss a once in a generation shift away from what is normal into a new normal. And well, I think all of these pieces coming together certainly make that evident. We talk about one of the things that's been a hot topic lately, which I look at as complete phooey, is China stopping to buy. They stopped buying gold, right? Oh, they didn't buy gold for a month, and which is a bunch of nonsense. Because look, my entire career, everyone said the numbers that China reports as having as their gold stockpile is a lie, because it was like at 1,200 metric tons forever, and for years and years and years, never changed. Yet there are people who tell you they mine between 400 and 500 metric tons per year every year. They're the largest producer in the world and have been mining uneconomical gold forever, right? And so just that alone is massively significant. But they have entities in China that, that they're not, these are banks that are not reporting to the IMF their gold holdings, like ICBC as a proxy for which is a state-owned bank, as a proxy for the PBOC, which is accumulating gold hand over fist, dealing with the refineries in South Africa and Switzerland, not reporting it. If gold that they accumulate is under 9995 pure, they don't report it. Just like we haven't updated our numbers since 1953, they're not going to update their numbers. But it would certainly behoove them to maximize the amount of gold they get before it gets revalued, like we talked about earlier. Remember, revalued. So they're not going to tell the world, yeah, we're buying it hand over fist. In fact, let's just tell them we're not buying it. And you guys, our state-owned banks, quietly, go start buying it. We're going to tell them that we stop for a month. The prices will fall because the Western media, a bunch of idiots, and the price will fall, and we can buy some more cheap and start getting more cheap on behalf of the idiots in the West who dropped the price. Okay, fine. Well, what I would also say is everyone focuses on the imports of silver that India has been doing from the West, and it's massive, between 600 and 700 million ounces over the last 2.5 years from the West, right? Yeah, huge, because it's 10 times the amount of silver in the registered category. We're supposed to be told that there's 800 million ounces on the LBMA, of which only 300 million is unencumbered, 500 plus belongs to the ETFs. That's also the platform, as we've talked about, that trades 2.9 billion ounces per day. 10 times the 292 million that they post. They admit those numbers are 10 times understated. You're talking 3.5 times annual global mine supply traded per day on these Western exchanges, which gives all of these countries, what did I say they're doing? Standing for delivery. They know what we are doing, and they are standing for delivery. They are draining the exchanges, and now they're draining it off the Shanghai Metals Exchange, also continually draining the exchanges. But what did India do the other day? Well, India has this, India has this deal with the United Arab Emirates that is related to import taxes, import duties. They don't have to pay as much in the way of taxes when they work with the United Arab Emirates. And so listen to this. Now, I've been very vocal talking about the 600 to 700 million ounces they have imported over the last 2 to 3 years. But this is now, and again, you need to dig to find this stuff. You don't find this on Fox, or you have to dig, right? Suffice it to say, according to India's silver imports from the United Arab Emirates, from January to April of 2023, they were only $2.2 million worth. And now, from the same time period in 2024, $1.44 billion worth of silver, which is an increase of 654 times, 654-fold increase year over year. They now just imported all of that silver from the United Arab Emirates. And is that calculated in, does anyone know how much silver they have?